Hello and welcome back to another EDH deck tech idea. Today we are taking a look at Arna Kennerüd, Skycaptain. She's a 5 mana 4/4 with flying and lifelink, and your opponents need to pay the ward price of discarding a card to target her with an ability or a spell. Whenever a modified creature you control attacks, double the number of each kind of counter on it. Then for each non-token permanent attached to it, create a token that's a copy of that permanent attached to that creature. This attack trigger is extremely powerful, and due to her being in Esper colors, we have a huge variety of cards that we can work with. But Arna costs 5 mana already, so we definitely need to equip her without paying any costs for that. So we play Arden, Intrepid Archaeologist, a 3 mana 2/2, and at the beginning of combat on your turn you may attach any number of auras and equipments you control to target permanent or player. Furthermore, we play Sigarda's Aid, a 1 mana enchantment. You may cast aura and equipment spells as though they had flash, and whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may attach it to target creature you control. We also play Forge Anew, a 3 mana enchantment, and when it enters the battlefield, return target equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this is also some nice recovery after a board wipe, and as long as it's your turn, you may activate equip abilities anytime you could cast an instant, and you may pay 0 rather than pay the equip cost of the first equip ability you activate during each of your turns. We can also play equipments that have an inbuilt auto attach, like Assassin Gauntlet, a 3 mana artifact equipment, and when it enters the battlefield, attach it up to 1 target creature you control and tap all creatures target opponent controls. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card and then discard a card. This is also one of your Wincons, as you will be constantly creating copies of this one, which will allow you to always tap down your opponent's blockers. We also play Phantom Blade, a 5 mana artifact equipment, and when it enters the battlefield, attach it up to 1 target creature you control. Destroy up to 1 other target creature. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has menace. For all of our other equipments, we have Hammer of Nazan, a 4 mana legendary artifact equipment, and when it or another equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may attach that equipment to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has indestructible. Now let's take a look at some of our game finishers. Mantle of the Ancients, a 5 mana enchantment aura, and when it enters the battlefield, return any number of target aura and or equipment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to enchanted creature. In addition to that, it is a huge pump up effect because enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each aura and equipment attached to it. A little bit cheaper, but without the graveyard recursion is all that glitters. A 2 mana enchantment aura, an enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Ethereal Armor is even cheaper, a 1 mana enchantment aura, an enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control and has first strike. Due to the fact that we are playing also a lot of artifacts, we play Excalibur, Sword of Eden, a 12 mana legendary artifact equipment, and this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total mana value of historic permanents you control. Artifacts, legendaries and sagas are historic, so this is already discounted by 5 if you have Arna on the battlefield, and equipped creature gets +10/+0 and has vigilance. Let's play a few dangerous creatures and also draw cards with them. Mesa Enchantress, a 3 mana 0/2, and whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you may draw a card. This one might not seem that scary, but this gets compensated by this creature called Spirit Dancer, a 2 mana 0/2, and it gets +2/+2 for each aura attached to it. Whenever you cast an aura spell, you may draw a card. Strum Senior Edificer, a 2 mana 2/2, and whenever you cast an aura, equipment or vehicle spell, draw a card. And last but not least, Pure Steel Paladin, a 2 mana 2/2, and whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. And equipments you control have equip 0 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. We are in Esper colors, so we have access to a lot of powerful interaction, like Anguished Unmaking, a 3 mana instant, exile target non-land permanent and you lose 3 life. If we don't like what is about to happen, we play Counterspell, a 2 mana instant, counter target spell. If we want to surprise our opponents out of nowhere, we can play Fierce Guardianship, a 3 mana instant, and if you control a commander, you may cast the spell without paying its mana cost. and counter target non-creature spell. We continue with Deadly Rollick, a 4 mana instant, and if you control a commander you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost and exile target creature. Cyclonic Rift, a 2 mana instant, return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. You can also overload this spell for 7 mana and bounce all non-land permanents your opponents control. And Voidrant, a 3 mana instant, this spell can't be countered and destroy target non-land permanent. Let's generate even more card advantage. Aqueous Foam, a 1 mana enchantment aura, an enchanted creature can't be blocked. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, you scry 1. Combat Research, a 1 mana enchantment aura, an enchanted creature has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And as long as enchanted creature is legendary, it gets +1/+1 and has Ward 1. Having multiple copies of Combat Research on Arna will increase all of the ward triggers. Staggering Insight, a 2 mana enchantment aura, enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has lifelink, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And now let's draw a bunch of cards. Sage's Reverie, a 4 mana enchantment aura, and when it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each aura you control that's attached to a creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each aura you control that's attached to it. You want to win more? You get it. This might not be the most powerful card, but I think it is a really cool one. Ordeal of Fassa, a 2 mana enchantment aura, and whenever enchanted creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then, if it has 3 or more +1/+1 counters on it, sacrifice Ordeal of Fassa. When you sacrifice it, you draw 2 cards. Due to the fact that you always double the number of each kind of counters on attack, and in addition to that you make a token copy for each non-token permanent attached to that creature, which means that you can stick the triggers of Arna and Ordeal of Fassa accordingly to get several copies of Ordeal of Fassa onto your attached creature before that creature reaches more than 3 +1/+1 counters. So for only 2 mana you will get several copies of Ordeal of Fassa on your creature, and before it checks for more than 3 +1/+1 counters on it and then sacrifices itself, you should be at the point that you will draw at least 6 cards with all of the Ordeal of Fassa sacrifice triggers. Another really powerful artifact equipment that you want to play is Nazgul Battle Mace, a 5 mana artifact equipment, and equipped creature is Menace, Death Touch, Annihilator 1, and whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card onto the battlefield under your control unless that player pays 3 life. At some point your opponents will still pay the life, but the more copies you get of Nazgul Battle Mace, the more they will be pushed into a tougher spot, so you will most likely end up with getting a few permanents. And always keep in mind that it is not bound to the Annihilator trigger, so even if your opponents sacrifice something else with some of their mechanics, it can still happen that you get the non-token permanent or they have to pay 3 life. Alright guys, these were a few cards that I would play in Arna Kennerüd Skycaptain. Let me know down in the comments below which cards you would add to the deck, which legendary creature I shall feature next, and then I would say see you in the next one. Goodbye guys.